This is Montego Bradley from Fans of Patrol, and you're listening to the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network.
Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what, I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people.
Right.
You want people to care. You want to strike emotions. And I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one
quarter
too.
pounder with cheese in France, Mickey? What? Royale with cheese. Yeah. I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice that my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success? Hey everyone, you are listening to Superhero Speak, and I'm your host Dave.
Oh, I'm sorry, we haven't talked about it yet. I'm John.
And pissed off.
Is that we're going to call you pissed off all episode?
Yes, just pissed off. Bitter.
It's better than being pissed on.
I'm so sad.
Oh, they'll think so when I get to California.
All my dreams.
You're going to California, huh?
Now I am.
Oh. You and me both.
All right. We'll get to it. Calm down.
I would say we're angry nerds, but I think that's already copyrighted by somebody.
Yes. There is an angry nerd on YouTube already.
Pissed off podcast. Rebranding.
Yep.
So JD, before we get to all that, how was your week? You missed us last week.
I did. I had a job interview that I told you guys I'd probably blow, and I did.
Oh.
That's fine. I didn't want it on the bed.
Can you tell us what the job was?
It was nothing cool.
Oh.
Doing a favor for someone, and I said, all right, I'll interview for this position. And they said, you don't fit here. And I said, I tried to explain that to you. But here we are.
That's an interesting way to do an interview.
Well, I tried. I'd like to get paid more money. But they said, no, you're not right for this. And I said, I know. I'll see myself out.
Well, all right then.
Yeah.
Yeah, you missed a fun interview, too.
That's what I hear.
But we talked about a comic book, well, an adaptation of a comic book you didn't like, so.
That's okay.
Yeah. How about you, John? I heard you were in Connecticut.
Yeah. I had nephews hanging off my arms the whole time, teaching my nephews how to play D&D, trying to get the basics. Look, when you kill something, you roll the body. That's just how it works. So, the important things in life.
Yes.
Yeah. Other than that, keeping up with Demon Slayer, which is still blowing people's minds at episode 19. Nothing else real because, while I was at my sister's house for my parents' 50th wedding anniversary, I was, out of the loop on, news. So I come home yesterday and, wake up this morning and all of a sudden, halfway through the day, I start hearing things and then holy crap, basically our entire geek universe just imploded.
See, it's still developing. You guys didn't see the updates yet, so we'll get to that.
I read it. I have no faith in that. I know what that is, but continue.
I've seen updates as of 17 minutes ago.
Yes. I actually did absolutely nothing this week. However, I've got my official start date for my job. I start tomorrow.
Congrats.
So I actually have to be awake by 9 o'clock.
Struggle is real.
Tough
You
life.
poor thing. Yeah, first world problems, dude.
But we also decided on a whim, because that's how my wife and I operate, to take the granddaughters this upcoming weekend to the Renaissance Fair. So we'll see how that goes.
Wait a minute. Which weekend?
This weekend coming up.
What day?
We're going all weekend. We're gonna actually leave when I'm done working on Friday, so she can drive up at night, and then we'll go Saturday and Sunday.
All right, I have to break out the ninja costume. Damn it. I was hoping to go as a wizard, but now if I don't want to be seen.
Oh, you didn't tell me you were going.
It's a spur-of-the-moment thing, damn it.
Exactly.
Why? Why did you have to... okay, fine.
We already booked the hotel, so...
You'll just have to meet my brother.
I've met one of your brothers.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have.
I don't think so.
At Wizard World, like
wow.
3 years ago.
Yeah. Wizard World 3 years ago. Yeah, when Wizard World was so good. Yeah. Huh. Okay. Cool.
Same brother?
Yeah. He's the only one who will come down and visit.
Yes, you've said that. And probably the only one to do this kind of stuff with you.
Yep.
See? Ha! You think I don't pay attention. You don't remember stuff.
Yes. So, no, I don't. But, well, actually, if that were true, I would be able to forget today, but I can't forget today. But, let's get into it, because people want to hear us, like, they want to feel their rage.
Well, I need to build JD's rage a little bit more.
Oh, awesome.
So we got to do a little social media madness.
Oh, fuck.
There is a critical mass of rage for JD. I don't really want to see that happen.
That's it. We'll keep it short this week. Only got three posts to talk about. So,
all right, fine, go for it. Let's do it.
So you guys remember we had talked about
Mike Coulter.
Hey, if you knew this if you actually read the email, why did you say skip this part? Oh, I get it now.
Exactly. Jeez.
He said he'd like an opportunity to come back and play Luke Cage, which, hey, he might have to now. But we got a couple responses to that. Unforgettable Sean had said, hell yes. And John Lemus had said, a lot of us, even those who did not really like Iron Fist, really wanted to see Heroes for Hire series. Heroes for Hire series.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, a lot of us did. So, get a better Iron Fist and then make that a movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We can, to replace the hole that's going to be in all of our hearts.
Yeah, well, whatever. I mean, yeah. Not much to say on that one.
No. And then we had talked about, of course, Black Adam is going to be more of an anti-hero than an actual villain.
Well, that'll make it really interesting to see him go after. I mean, what's the conflict? I mean, the conflict is I want to be a good person, but not as good as you. I mean,
Well, Magical Girl, I can't.
Don't even try.
Yeah, exactly. Said, meh. I can understand why, but he needs to be more anti than hero. Black Adam is that villain that is bad for the right reasons, but he's still a villain. He's like Magneto.
So by that, he means the most interesting person in the movie. Okay.
And I was like,
basically.
That sounds like a really good take, though. I think
it is. That being said, it's going to be him and Shazam, because you said, finally, guys, I tell you, I finally saw Shazam.
Oh, no. What did you think?
I loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
It was much better than I expected. And I had not high hopes, but reasonable hopes going into it. That said, I think when we do get this Black Adam film, it's going to be Billy's hope and optimism versus Teth Adams' nihilism. And then we'll have the struggle over the soul of a person who had great intentions but fell down a dark path. The stuff writes itself, man. It's going to be awesome. I have more hope now than ever. I also caught that Dwayne Johnson and Danny Garcia were executive producers on the film.
Yes. Yeah. So that kind of sounds like Star Wars. Darth Vader.
Yeah, but we didn't. Okay, it can be done a lot differently because Darth Vader, we had 3 movies to play with, and then 3 more movies to make worse. But the redemption story is different because nothing says he has to be redeemed. You know, that could just be the fight over his. And like it's telling a story of 2 people who have similar backgrounds is very different than telling a story of an estranged even father and son. So they're different stories. But I mean, there is a trope there of redemption.
Right.
There is also a very fine needle to thread for the final act of the movie, because the final act of the movie will be very disappointing if it's, you know, just Black Adam saying, "Oh man, you're right," and that's basically. I mean, you know, it's just.
So, based on the conversation we had with my guy Regular Scott a couple weeks ago, I do think if they do this movie, I would like to see a Black Rain adaptation or of sorts where Black Adam would essentially lead, which is Kondak is his country, it's basically Iraq, against some type of totalitarian regime, and then Billy has to grow up and make adult choices, which can be very difficult for a 15-year-old. There's a ton of ground for some really interesting movie stuff here.
Right.
Do I think DC will do a good job on it? Probably not, but I'm in a very pessimistic mood right now.
Well, so far we've seen about as much of his wisdom of Solomon as Spider-Man saw of his Spidey sense the first movie. So maybe they'll delve into that a little bit.
Well, that's the thing about I get what you're saying. They chose an interpretation of this Captain Marvel that he just grows up physically, not mentally. And spending as much time around teenagers as I do, they can be the smartest kids in the world and they still dumb.
Yeah.
Very true.
Which is part of the charm of the character, quite frankly. So.
All right. No, yes, I raise it. I've raised one teenager and now I'm raising another. You're absolutely right. All right. And of course, last week we did a review of The Boys. Did you see any of it, Shady?
No. I didn't. It's gonna be like Walking Dead for me. I read the first trade. I just didn't like it. Like I just don't like deconstructed superheroes. I've read too many of them, and like they have like, and I get it that most people haven't done that nearly as much as I have. So I get it. I get why it's cool for people and everybody's raving about it. I'm sure it's awesome. It's just not for me.
Yeah, it is getting to be kind of an overused trope now of the superheroes that aren't really superheroes and they're, you know, actually bad guys or just really crappy people. We're seeing, even I'm seeing too much of it now, and I usually don't go for that kind of a genre.
All right. Well, speaking of people who go or don't go for it, Guido Martinez, yes, I'm not being racist. That's his screen name.
You just made it racist by saying that. Thanks.
Loved it. The deviations from the comic were great and surprised me pleasantly. Homelander is one of the greatest villains I've seen. So,
he's okay. I mean, he's appropriately evil, and he's pretty deep the way they did the character on the show. Yeah. You know, because he's got a whole bunch of things pulling him in different directions, and that makes him a bit unpredictable, which is always good in a villain.
Right. Shane Beauregard, I love that name, said one of the top 5 shows of the year. And Hulk Smash, Ken Pruden, said, yeah, a little of the social bull and the anti-Christian thing, episode 5, and they had to throw in the gay inclusive all shows think they must have now show saying there is rape in the first episode when it was about to happen but didn't. But great show. So
I got mixed signals with that.
Exactly.
I lost like 60 IQ points reading that tweet.
Yeah.
Like this guy is unhappy that this is weird. Okay, this is what I gather from this my friend, if you're listening to our show, poorly worded tweet. You're unhappy about the anti-Christian thing. You're unhappy about the gay thing. But you're bummed out that they didn't go full rape?
Yeah, it's about right.
And that's what I'm reading. Because remember, I don't know what happens in the show, but in the comic, Starlighter gets full-on gang raped. So how do they handle that on the show?
Well,
they don't. I mean, you know, even Skinamax never showed anything like that. So there's no way they're going to put that on Amazon.
I'm curious. And this guy is disappointed about that. Oh man, there's no rape. Oh, and they're now they have gay stuff. Oh. How am I supposed to enjoy this superhero show?
When you put it like that,
they sigh.
It makes me wonder. Yeah, I really don't know what he's saying. I don't think he read the comic, first off.
I guarantee it.
And he doesn't understand the genre of the deconstructed superhero.
Or Garth. Well, it's Garth Ennis. Like, you can't sit there and go, this is anti-Christian. When you're reading Garth Ennis, my friend.
I didn't feel, and here's the funny thing, right? Like, I'm Christian, and I watched it, and I didn't feel like it was anti-Christian. It's almost like he's saying, well, because the bad guys were Christian, that makes it like, no. I understood where they were going with it. Like, you know, they were doing the whole they got their powers from God thing, and it was like, okay.
I think he was talking about when they were at the Christian Revival show. There were a lot of well-known hits on how Christian groups work and basically going after the leader, because there have been quite a few scandals for the megachurch leaders and all that about the very same things that they had in there. I mean, they had a lot of ammunition to pull from, a lot of previous work from reality to use. But again, I mean, I think they did Starlight's character right, where it's like, okay, if you want to be a real Christian, don't just accept everything you're being told.
Right. Like, that exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, but they give you that moment where she's like, well, I want to believe, but I don't want to believe in these people. And it was like, okay, like, why? Yeah. So Hulk must have smashed him in the head too hard. It's basically what it comes down to.
I love that this segment has become make fun of the people who respond to our Twitter.
No.
No, I'm okay with it. When it's like this, why not? Like,
well, I mean, there comes a point. I mean, like, I get it, but if we're going to get a tweet, I mean, some of these tweets, it's social media. What are you going to do, right? So we're going to get good ones, we're going to get bad ones. And when we get the bad ones and it opens up a conversation, we have to use it.
Yeah, agreed. It's just, yeah, it was so... Sometimes when I see criticisms like that, and it's like, did you watch the same thing? And again, JD makes the ultimate point. Like, oh man, there wasn't rape. How am I supposed to enjoy this now?
Yeah, that's so weird. That's just so weird to me. Like, I don't know, man. Again, I didn't watch the show, so I can't go all in on this, but that was just a very poorly worded, poorly thought out tweet. I got $10 if he doesn't listen to our show, so.
Yep.
So.
Because you can tell. Like, when we do these things, like, you can tell the people that just respond and the people that actually, like, listen to our show. And,
that's true.
Interact. Those people I don't mind crapping on because they're never going to know.
All right. Well, on that note, speaking of social media, don't forget, if you don't, follow us on Twitter at SuperheroSpeak or on Facebook, facebook.com/SuperheroSpeak. You can also check out our website, superherospeak.com. And we are available on pretty much anywhere podcasts are available. So
don't forget to join the Facebook group.
Oh, yeah. And our Facebook group, Superhero Speak, what did I call it? Hangout. Yeah.
Hangout.
Yes, join the group and be part of the conversation. JD's always trying to get a conversation started in there, so.
Trying. Trying.
All right. So on that note, boys and girls, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with the news.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
And we're back. And
your taps playing in the background.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with this story, I guess.
It's our lead story. Like, might as well.
Kind of like a funeral dirge.
All right. So it was announced earlier today.
Okay.
It was announced earlier today that Sony and Marvel could not reach an agreement on the deal with Spider-Man.
I am blaming on Henry Abrams doing the Spider-Man book.
Are you trying to kill me today?
So on that note, yes, we are. No. So it was announced that they couldn't reach a deal, and today was the deadline to finish the negotiations on extending the deal. So it looked like that Spider-Man is out of the MCU.
Which, God damn it.
So one of the things that's important to point out is Sony's stock started to drop after this announcement.
That I missed. That's interesting.
That's hysterical.
The main sticking point on the negotiation was over producer credit.
Really? That can't be it. I thought it was over the money. It was the Sony was getting all of the revenue, and the only thing that was left, the only thing Disney was getting was the
according to an
revenue
article on IO9. They reached out to Sony, and the rep said that was one of the main sticking points was on who gets producer credit for the Spider-Man movies.
That's BS.
So
I don't believe that for a freaking second.
Well, Dave sent the when you sent the Screen Rant article, I had my doubts until I read it, and I saw that they sourced Variety. Variety is like, for those who don't know, Variety is like the industry trade. So if you work in Hollywood, you read Variety. So the fact that there were quotes in Variety saying that read to me like Sony is in battle mode right now.
Yeah.
They're trying to make Disney look like the bad guy, because it made more sense when Disney wanted to split revenue.
Right, and that was the thing. Disney was only getting the revenue from the toys sales and all that, right?
Yes. And
right.
Sony, from what I read about it, was Sony was funneling the money, was producing the money, was funding the films. Marvel was producing them, and Sony was distributing them. So Sony was putting up all the money, and therefore they were making all the money. Whereas Marvel got to use Spider-Man in their world, which, I don't know, elevated the character for the best time since 2002. Yeah. But this is kind of what Sony does, is they screw these things up. So I do wonder if, like you say, with the stock starting to slip and Sony putting out this clearly came from the Sony camp, of them being like, well, it's not dead yet. Is my bet was that, Dave, tell me if you think I'm crazy with this, is that Disney people leaked it because it wasn't like an official press release.
Right.
It probably came from the Disney camp saying that Disney was cut out, and they kind of banked on people freaking out. People going Dave Bautista, if you will.
Right.
And then Sony came back and was like, no. This is what PR people do. So I think we're just seeing hardball, but my instincts say that Sony will drop the ball.
Do you think they'll let it back in? They'll just let them sign a new agreement?
They're going to have to sign something. I mean, like, everybody wants, like, I thought this was, I think we talked about this. It was like when they announced we're in 4 now, right? We're starting 4?
Yeah.
There was no Spider-Man, even though we had that really wicked ending.
Oh, right. Yeah.
There's no Spider-Man. So that kind of bugged me a little bit, but I didn't see this coming. So clearly this has been an issue for probably since before the movie came out. I'm sure they saw where it was tracking. We're like, man, it's going to make a lot of money. We got to talk. And then they can't get anything done. So I imagine this is just another part of the hardball.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've seen people, there's people that are blaming Disney. There are people that are blaming Sony, but I mean, for my personal take, I don't think it's right that Sony's, they're putting up the money for the movies, but they are making. I mean, was it Far From Home? Just it topped $1 billion, right?
The biggest movie they've had in over a decade.
Yeah, they were not going to make that on their own.
No.
So sharing revenue with Disney, they could have at least like maybe got them down to, I don't know, 25% or at least negotiated a bit. But just out and out saying, yeah, screw that. It's all our money, even though it's really not, because without the Marvel Universe, this doesn't happen. I mean, just the stupidity, the insular thinking that these people have. They just don't seem to understand what's going on in the outside world, you know?
They're starting to have some successes that weren't Marvel Studios related. Like Spider-Verse made a lot of money, but it made a fraction of, and this Spider-Verse is a big hit for Sony, but it wasn't even in the ballpark of what the Marvel movies make. It wasn't.
Right.
So, and then Venom did well, but it didn't do Marvel movie well. You know, and Venom, I'm still convinced Venom did well because it was tangentially connected to the MCU. It's like they're treading off that. I think this is a big gamble from Sony, and I think they're going to lose. I think they've already lost. I think for the most part, they've lost the battle in the court of public opinion.
Mm.
Yeah.
Just a comparison. So, Spider-Man Far From Home grossed over $1 billion. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse grossed $190.2 million in the United States and Canada, $185.2 million in other territories, and the worldwide gross was $375 million on a budget of $90 million, which is pretty good. Pullback from the outlay. So, yeah, but that still doesn't I mean, you can't just drop $1 billion. I mean, I was hoping that money was going to at least keep them in the fold.
Yeah, but you can't blame Disney, because Disney is the one who kind of said, "Well, this is our work."
Oh yeah,
you guys are revitalized because of us. We should have a piece of this pie. You know, and the problem with Sony is they own the rights and stuff in perpetuity. Sony and Fox basically saved Marvel in the early aughts after their bankrupts, or the late 90s, excuse me, after when the company went bankrupt. So they kind of Sony has this character in perpetuity.
Yeah.
You know, they're stuck. We're stuck.
Wait a minute. Do they have it permanently, or is it just as long as they're making movies?
As long as they have their contract, no one knows like the exact date figures of it, but it's pretty much as long as they're doing something with Spider-Man, like something's in development, and they got it.
Right.
Well, you know, Marvel could always cancel all of the Spider-Man comics like they did with Fantastic Four.
Yeah, that didn't work with that, and it's not going to work here.
I know.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah, so that's why they bought Fox.
But Fox is in a lot worse place than I think. I saw that. They're like, "Oh, Marvel can just buy Sony." I'm like, Sony's like, we're talking Sony here.
Yeah, it's a bigger company. It's a much larger target.
Right. Like could they? I suppose. Is Sony doesn't strike me as a company that. I mean, Columbia. We're talking Columbia TriStar, one of the oldest studios in the world, that is owned by one of the biggest electronics corporations on the planet. Like, this isn't like buying Marvel. I hate to say it like that, but it's true. Like Marvel Comics isn't Sony, you know?
Right. No, agreed. I mean, there's too many pieces to Sony to just buy it.
But again, there's like without the Marvel MCU, without the MCU, Spider-Man isn't making that much money. It's just like it's a law of physics at this point. There's no way that they can think that they're going to get away with, unless this whole thing is just one big tactic.
Like, so let's okay. You know, best case scenario, they sit back down at the negotiating table and they work something out. Worst case scenario, Spider-Man's no longer the MCU. Do you think that we know it'll hurt Sony. Well, we know it'll hurt the Spider-Man movies. Do you think it would hurt Marvel?
Yes. Yes and no. That's what I would say.
Yeah, it will hurt Sony a whole lot more than it would hurt Marvel. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
Here's why it hurts Sony more, is because now the Spider-Man character is so firmly entrenched into the MCU. Like, how do you make another Spider-Man movie without any of those connections?
Yeah, that's the thing. They would end up rebooting the character again
with a new actor.
With a new actor.
I mean, I don't know
and
if
a new
they would.
origin.
Would they? I mean, I think they could make another movie, but I think they totally could, because they could. Sony has Tom Holland under contract. They have Zendaya under contract. They had, like, that's their stuff. But you have to cut out everything MCU related.
Yeah, but how does that contract work? Because he was also in 3 Marvel movies?
Again, until we see the contracts, we don't know. But the movies for Spider-Man, like, because they're Sony films, they're distributed through Sony. So the contract for Tom Holland to play Spider, he might have 2 contracts.
That's what I'm saying. Does he have a separate contract for Disney because of Endgame and Infinity War and Civil War?
We don't know.
And that's another thing. Does he have obligations to do more Marvel films with a separate contract?
I don't think so. Where is he going to... like, you look at the Phase 4 films, where would Spider-Man show up?
Oh.
This is what I'm saying. I don't think this came out of nowhere.
Well, he would be part of the next Avengers movie.
But there's no plan for another Avengers movie.
Yeah.
Like, not yet.
Not yet.
Phase 4 specifically. Like, Marvel's... If we're sitting at the card table, Marvel has already shown us their cards right now. Like, maybe this is why they kind of got these announcements done quick this year, because we all said, oh, wow, Marvel usually doesn't do anything at Comic-Con. They usually wait till D23.
Right.
So they put up everything, hey, here's what we're doing this year. And nobody said, hey, you know what? There's a Spider-Man movie coming up. Nobody said that. But now here we are, and I believe Tom Holland has one more film under his deal, which I'm sure is probably with Sony. And then what they set up at the end of this last Spider-Man movie, you can't move forward without them.
Yeah.
Like, we were pissed off into Luke Cage. This is like that on steroids.
This is Firefly. This is Firefly level.
No, because Firefly sucked. No, but anyway.
Wow. We just lost 1,000 followers.
Well, you know, I assume that our Media Madness section next week is going to be quite large now.
Look, I'm sorry. I'm so sick of this love for a show that was on for 5 episodes and got canceled. You know, I always have this feeling that if it was something that lasted for a couple years, it might have ended up getting really bad, and then no one would have. It wouldn't have the. What's the term I'm looking for? The cult status that it has. You know.
Dude, it was 15 episodes, by the way.
Buffy and Angel both have those cult statuses, and they were on for years.
Yep.
You know, funny, my wife hates Firefly because she was a big Buffy Angel fan, and she said those 2 shows took a real dip in quality when Joss Whedon started paying attention to Firefly.
Huh.
Well, there you go.
All right.
Anyway.
But back.
Spider-Man.
So yeah, I mean, the only thing they could do, but I don't even know if people want it with this version of Venom, is doing a Spider-Man Venom movie. If Tom Holland is still under contract with Sony, you know.
Nobody wants a Spider-Man. I mean, people want a Spider-Man movie, but they don't want it with that Venom. And they don't want it at the cost of Spider-Man being in the MCU.
Right.
I agree. I can live with the Tom Holland movie. I don't need it. I need this J. Jonah Jameson Spider-Man movie that they showed me 30 seconds of at the end a couple weeks ago. That movie I need to see.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how this is going to work. This is going to be interesting to keep an eye on. And like I said, it's still developing, so we really don't know what's going to happen yet.
they need an old school dude like Robert Evans to come in there, because Robert Evans back in the day would like smooth things out and get people working together. That's what they need. They need that old school, deal maker. Come in there and just kind of get guys talking again and get away from this stupid stuff.
That sounds good. Yeah, get the personalities out and get the numbers in.
I disagree. I think the numbers are what's screwing this up. I think we need personalities in there. Like, I think we need someone who can, like, talk. Well, people being human again.
Yeah, but again, I mean, you need somebody to go in there and give them the hard facts, which is basically the numbers, which is if Sony pulls them out of the MCU, their numbers are going to look really bad. And they don't seem to think that, which is the problem.
This is why John is a software developer and not somebody who negotiates big deals.
I deal in facts.
Because, again, it's about, getting the personalities and schmoozing and making people comfortable and happy to say, hey, yeah, let's do this. Let's have fun. As opposed to worrying about the numbers. Because that's the problem. Sony saw, oh, look, we don't need Marvel because our Spider-Man movie made so much money. And that's what they're saying.
Right. Whereas Disney's like, look how much money you made. You need us. We want more. Because, Disney is the capitalist monster that just consumes everything in its sight. It's the Blob. It will just keep eating and eating until it's all that's left. But the problem is, we all like the stinking Blob. So, look us up.
And the thing is, too, if that's here's the other thing you'd have to say, right? If they end their relationship and they go to make another Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland, but Marvel says, you can't mention anything from the MCU in your movies. That means you get rid of the 5-year snap. You get rid of his relationship with Iron Man. You get rid of everything that...
You get rid of Happy.
You get rid of Happy. You get rid of everything that makes that character that character.
Not everything, but everything that everything that made him feel like something more.
Yeah.
I mean, and you have to get the costume, right? It was given to him by Tony.
That's true.
So you can't have that anymore. Like, they're destroying their Spider-Man movies if they walk away. That's what someone needs to convince Sony of. Like, Marvel can say, sure, you can't mention anything from the previous movies. What are you going to do now? Reboot it again and give us another origin story that no one wants to see?
Yeah, maybe they're taking so much heat on social media right now, they might be rethinking their strategy, which, thinking about it, they don't have one. But
I agree. I think that's exactly what we're seeing right now, especially by that Variety piece. Like I said, that totally reads like someone in Sony's PR department reached out to one of their little stoolies and was like, hey, man, we're still working on it. It can still work out.
Yeah. Please don't kill us.
Well, that's what people are going to really pay attention to. Is if the stock really takes a dump, and then people will run away from it. That's amazing. I didn't know that, Dave. That's the craziest part about this is that's how important these movies are to our culture.
Well, I'm looking at their stock though, and it's not that bad. But we'll see what it does tomorrow because, it takes a little bit to absorb this kind of information. And, for the soothsayers, come on, tell the investors what it means. But it's only really down 0.11% at this point, which is really nothing considering the market.
But it's one day. Like,
right.
And it was just before closing.
Right.
Well, yeah.
That's the thing. It went down 0.11%. Right before the stock market closed after this was announced. Because people were like, they're done, dump their stock. That's what happened. And when investors start dumping their stock, Sony's like, oh, whoa, wait a minute. Whoa, we're still talking. Yeah, we're still talking.
But it's down 44 cents. That's not a lot considering the stock is at 55.
Okay, 44 cents over how many shares? How many billions of dollars is that?
Right. Yeah, but I follow the stock of my parent company, and they do that all the time, especially with the stock market up and down because of the tariff trade war thing. So, it could, and that's actually kind of the same as Sony because we're both media companies. So that can happen. Tomorrow we'll see what happens because it'll be whatever the effect of the variety piece is, and then whatever announcements they make as the day goes forward.
But that's the thing, is like there are a lot of we'll go a different direction here. There are ramped up talks of like recession going on. There are the tariff issues. Like investors are a little skitchier than they used to be. Like the market's been crazy volatile the last few months. So anything that's gonna make an investor weary, they're gonna drop right now.
Oh yeah, you can't have that kind of news in a volatile market like today.
Right, Disney's a safe bet right now because they're riding high. They've got this big streaming app coming out. Like if you have money in Sony, you're going to dump it and put it into. You should dump it and put it into Disney.
Oh man,
I mean, shouldn't you? Wouldn't that make sense?
No, that's. I mean, it'd be a safe bet.
That's my kindergarten level of economics. So if anyone rips me on social media for that next week, I'll take it gladly. So we've been on the show for like 45 minutes and we've done one story.
All right. Well, let's see.
It is a big story.
Well, the next story I had was Far From Home. It's going to go back into the theater with an extended cut.
Why do you suppose that is?
Because it made $1 billion and they want to squeeze it for every penny they can.
Because
before they blow it up.
Yep.
Oh, Jesus, criminy.
Oh, poor Sony.
Don't pity them. Never pity Sony. They brought us dancing Peter Parker.
How about Martin Freeman? As confirmed, he is returning for Black Panther 2.
Cool.
Who?
Watson.
No. I mean, yeah, it's great. Okay.
Bilbo Watson.
Bilbo Watson is coming back. Okay. Yay?
He was good.
Yeah,
he was good in the movie. I kind of felt like he was the everyman of the story.
For sure. He was the fish out of water.
Which makes you wonder, like...
Okay.
Sometimes in sequels, I feel like that character gets tired quickly.
Was his character like a plant? Like, is his character?
No, he's an animal. He's not a plant. What?
No. Thanks, Dave, for clearing that up completely. Not. But is his character supposed to gain powers or be a superhero later or anything like that, or be somebody important, or is he even in the original comics or?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so, but I could be wrong on that. I mean, he's sort of like Dave said. He played the role of the white audience coming into this vast African nation and being completely lost. He was guys like us.
Well, if you're going to have somebody play that role, a short English white man is perfect.
There you go.
Yes. He was good. He did a good job. And do they need him? I don't think they need him, but I mean, he did some you need a guy who can cut some jokes and be levity. So, sure, he's less annoying than Kat Dennings was in those Thor movies.
Oh, well, there's not much that would be on that level.
I don't know. I still like her. I like him. He's a good actor. I look forward to seeing him return. Maybe be more. Well, I mean, they didn't just make him a buffoon either. Like, he did help out, and so we'll see where they go with it. All right. And then Marvel today released a trailer for the J.J. and Henry Abrams Spider-Man book. So,
did this get swallowed up in today's news story?
Hey, maybe that was the point.
Well, what I found interesting about this trailer is when they first said they were doing this, they made it like Henry Abrams was writing the story himself.
Of course they did. I said that when we talked about the story. JJ is only there because he's JJ.
But like now he has a writer credit on the book.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got I don't know who that was from Marvel, the hype man in the video, talking about what a great writer doesn't really talk about Henry at all. It's all JG's such a great writer. You never know what you're going to get with him. Right,
because that's how they're going to sell. Because nobody gives a crap about J.J. Abrams' spoiled kid. I'm I'm gonna keep on this one because nepotism is a thing.
And then who's the artist on it? I forget.
Sarah Pacelli, she's awesome.
Yeah, she's no. I like her art. That was what bothered me in the video too, where it was like JJ picked the artist and he had no idea like who the artists were. He's like, I had to ask someone who to use. And it was just like,
of course,
then why are you doing a comic book?
Because some little rich kids, they want their dad to buy them a Bentley. Henry wanted to write Spider-Man. So rather than putting him through the work and making him earn his way up, he made a phone call. Like the Harvard thing. Like old Aunt Becky in prison. Similar. Very similar.
Maybe they just lens flared them until they couldn't take it anymore.
So you're saying J.J. Abrams is Aunt Becky?
Oh yes, she's playing the role of Aunt Becky. J.J. Abrams.
Oh God!
I'm saying this kid could be an awesome writer. He could be the future of comics, but he should start doing indie stuff and hustling and getting his indie books out there the same way everyone else does. Like skipping to the front of the line because of who you are is BS, and that's why Marvel has to put this out because they have to make money on it. And call me a cynic. Some have. I don't think we'll hear much from this kid in the next 5 years as a comic writer. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am.
I guess the other thing that bothered me is it's a Venom tangent story. Like, Venom, and it's just like, wait a minute. So you didn't even, come up with a new villain, really, or a new idea. You just went, Venom's cool. Let's play off the symbiote idea.
Well, especially when Donny Cates is doing his maximum or his absolute carnage story right now.
Right.
It's just, like I said, this guy gets to do his own thing, and it seems like it's going to exist kind of in its own little pocket. And it's not like it's the first or last time Marvel's going to let some dude who really shouldn't, well, I don't want to say shouldn't, but I mean, who really didn't do the work to get there, have their chance to play with the toys. Because the wealthy and elite are better than the rest of us, and they let us know it all the time.
Well, at least they're better than you, JD.
Oh, it's fine. I don't that doesn't bother me. If I'm not J.J. Abrams, if I had that kind of stroke, I would embrace it too. If I was that kid, the kid is smart for taking his opportunity that he would not be given otherwise.
Yes,
I
that is true.
I don't fault the kid for for taking advantage of it. I fault the system for allowing it to happen.
I feel like it's one of these things where it was I don't even think he really wanted to do a comic. It was, I want to be a writer like you, Dad. All right, well, you need some credits.
Start your Marvel.
Exactly. Let's give you a writing credit at Marvel.
Do you think it's like that? I think the kid actually does want to write comics.
What kid wouldn't want to?
What's what I'm saying? I think he does want to do this. Like I said, what frustrates me is that he gets to skip ahead and is he's cool with it. That's fine. Not everyone can have the balls that Joe Hill has and decide to do it on your own.
Now check me on this, okay? So if he didn't work his way up, he's basically using the cheat code to get up to this level automatically. Doesn't that kind of, even if he would have been a good comic book writer, doesn't that cheat him out of all the experience it would take to actually be a good comic book writer?
What bothers me about this is he's still J.J. Abrams' son, right? So he could have written an independent book and, using Daddy's money, gotten an incredible artist from either camp to illustrate it, and then did his own distribution model. Got it on Comixology, Amazon, whatever.
Bro, Image would have picked that up in a heartbeat, which would have made sense. Image does stuff like that all the time. That's their business model. That would have been fine. That would have been smart business.
But what I'm saying is, it almost feels like he didn't even want to do that much effort.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. That's why it gets me. it does bug me a little bit. Again, like this is a dream that I've made my bet with. I ain't gonna make it in comics. I don't really want to. I'm good with it. But I got a lot of friends that are still like grinding and have shown they have talent. And a lot of writing big two comics is just luck, timing, and who you know.
Right.
Like, and it's not fair. Nothing is. But there's a lot of dudes that have to grind for a long time. Like Brian Bendis grinded his way to get that spot for a long time.
And how many writers have we had on this show that have written for one of the big two, and they're younger, and they go out and do an independent book after that because they were like, yeah, I wanted to get my feet wet, and I wanted to do something, but now I want to write my own stuff.
Well, that's how it goes. That's how it kind of goes. You got to start indie comics to kind of get the attention of the big comics business. You get big comics, you get followers, you get fans, and then you do your own thing where you make more money.
Right.
So it's weird. It's a weird little figure eight. You start indie and then you go mainstream, and then you got to come back to indie to really make real money.
Unless you're J.J. Abrams' son, and then you start at the head of the line.
That's the thing. Like he just gets like not only does he get to write a comic. Like if it was like Luke Cage or something like that, I'd be like, okay, so whatever. I wouldn't be bullshit, but I mean, like, it's what it is. Spider-Man. He gets Spider-Man. I'm sounding really bitter on this. I want to drop it.
All right. Well. Speaking of rich and powerful people, and dreams that we will never we'll never be able to own the Daredevil costume from the TV show.
It's sold.
I'm good with, Stephen DeKnight bought it.
Yeah, Stephen DeKnight got the, which I thought was like, I knew they were doing the auction, but it's like, and I know movie studios and television studios make money off of those things, but why not offer them to the people who created the show first? You know?
Yeah, I think this is cool that he got it. He had to pay 50 G's for it.
That's what I'm saying. He had to pay $50,000 for a prop from a show that he wrote. Where does
the money go?
Into somebody's
probably to
pocket.
the studio, right?
Well, it says it's an auction, so I'm just wondering if they're auctioning it off for something.
Yeah, for some executives at Netflix's third yacht.
Fuck that guy. No, I mean, like, that being said, I'm sorry that he had to drop $50,000 on it, but he made some really good TV, and, you know, a guy like Stephen DeKnight who did work his way up.
Right.
Good for him.
So, all right. So let's cross the aisle to DC, the only article we have for DC this week. Again, it's around the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover that is coming up this season on the CW. And, what's her name? I don't know. You watched Birds of Prey when it was on TV, right?
That was a long time ago, dude.
Wasn't that long ago?
It was short-lived, too.
2002.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not that long ago.
That's what year my juniors were born.
Yes, that's the year my son was born.
Yeah.
Where was I in 2002? Jeez, I don't even remember.
Rachel Scatterson, who played Laura Lance on that show, has said that she would be willing to reprise her role for the series, and that she is still in touch with the other actresses from the show who played Batgirl and who was the other one? Huntress on the show, and they have all agreed they would love to come back and do a cameo for this. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Now, of course, Rachel is going to be playing the White Queen in the Batgirl series that's coming up. So, or Batwoman series that's coming up. So she's already involved with the show in some way or another. So cool. I was kind of wondering, like, was that floated out there because of the rumor they're looking for someone from Smallville to come do the show? Maybe they can't get who they want from Smallville, so maybe they're floating this idea out there.
Well, there's a big difference between Birds of Prey and Smallville. Smallville lasted 11 seasons.
Yeah.
I don't think Birds of Prey lasted 11 episodes.
Yeah. It didn't. I mean, I have a vague memory of maybe one or two scenes of it, but it was not.
Okay.
How many Black Canaries do these shows need?
Yeah, it's true.
We've had like 5 or 6. Like, I think I'm good.
There you go.
I don't know.
Yeah, IMD. It was only one season, so I mean,
I don't know.
It didn't last. You remember it? I mean, that's the thing. It wasn't very memorable. 13 episodes in 2002, 2003.
I'm amazed it lasted that long, to be quite honest with you.
Well, it was, like, if you wanted, back then, you wanted something really good, you'd see Witchblade.
Well, I just remember they would do there was a couple episodes where they would do Batman flashes, like you would see a cape, or, him running, a silhouette running away real quick, but they never actually had Batman on the show. And it's just like, that's when I really began to realize, like, there's something wrong at DC, like, that they do this crap. Like, just hire an actor to play Batman. Like, what's the big whoop,
I believe that was at a time, okay, first of all, you said Batman flashes, and then you mentioned his cape, and my brain went right to the gutter. And then, but this was also at a time where they weren't allowed to do full Batman. Like, remember, the Adam Knight character from 3rd season, I believe, Smallville, was supposed to be Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
Right.
DC was very, especially back then, it was less synergistic. I sound like a corporate douche when I say that. Less synergistic than it was back then, so they weren't really allowed. So all they could get was like Batman flashes. Otherwise, they would just have a Batman show.
Yeah, that's true.
Which, in retrospect, they really should have a Batman show.
I've been saying that for a long time.
Isn't that called Teen Titans?
No, because
it wasn't the first. I haven't seen it, but every time I see it, it's all about Batman driving the whole plot or something. So
they just show him in the last episode, and it's again glimpses of Batman.
Same deal.
So
I'm gonna start advocating this. Netflix should just do a Batman and a Superman 10-episode show, and everybody would be happier.
If you give it to Netflix, it'll only last like one season, and then they'll cancel it because they're going to move it to DC Universe. Well, after which they'll cancel it again and move it.
No, but there's nothing.
Warner Brothers.
There's nothing
already
wrong.
Screwed it up.
See, it's one of the things I like about British television. There's nothing wrong with just doing a 10 or 12 episode arc of something and then being done with it, moving on.
You are so right about that. And it's old thinking, because it used to be you get 100 episodes, you can go into syndication and make money for the rest of the time. Those days are kind of coming to an end.
Yeah. And I do think that's why people like the Netflix and Amazon Prime and model now, right? Because they are starting to do that. They have limited series; they're only on for 1 or 2 seasons, and then it's done. And the people who wanted to do the show got to tell their story, and that's it. Because those shows are never be syndicated on and shown on CBS for the rest of their lives. It's not going to happen.
Right, but they can exist in the streaming platform for however long that has to be a thing, and we can watch it whenever we want. Like, I agree with you 100%. Like Doctor Who, like British TV, there's a million of them, but the show recreates itself, and it's really not the same show from season to season.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of built into the whole premise, which is like all came about through extreme luck and very weird circumstances. So, I mean, that's kind of the exception for all of this.
I mean, you look at what's one of the most famous British shows of all time is Fawlty Towers, right? Like, people who love British comedy are always talking about that show. Do you know
Did you know that was only 13
episodes the entire
Oh yeah, and it's
show.
still talked about. It's
and it's still talked about
held
today
up as an example.
Yes. You know, like the British Office, which we based a TV show on in this country that lasted for 9 seasons, was I think 5 episodes. 5 or 6 episodes in England. And then
14 episodes.
Oh, 14 episodes, okay. 14 episodes, and then Ricky Gervais was done with it, he walked away.
British TV works differently.
Right.
And it's better in a lot of ways, because we just talked about it, I forget what show we mentioned it, but like shows get old, they hit a point where they go, and then we still keep milking them. Like shows don't like have that shark jump moment. They exist as long as they need to exist. And then they move on.
Unless they're The Simpsons, and then they just last forever.
Yeah.
That show should not
or One Piece. You don't know about One Piece, but it's an anime that's got over, I think it's at 950 episodes now.
Holy shit, that's a lot of episodes for an animated show.
Or I forget what it's called in Japan, but the show that Power Rangers is based on, where they have the show in Japan, and it's usually the following season is what they have in the United States, right? Where they re-edit it and they add the American actors and all that stuff. Did you know that show's been on since 1974 in Japan?
Well, so have the Power Rangers. So, yeah, I mean, I get it.
So, yeah, like, it's nuts.
Yeah, I agree, man. Like I said, like, if Netflix is listening, one Superman, one Batman, 10 episodes apiece, watch the money come rolling in.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of English things that are better than us,
ooh,
and Netflix-like services, except this is Disney Plus. It is rumored, or no, it's not rumored. Ewan McGregor is in negotiations to reprise his role as Obi Wan Kenobi in a limited series for Disney Plus.
Awesome.
Awesome. Okay. What do you think, John?
As long as he's got the high ground, I'm with him. Sure. Yeah.
It's interesting.
All about the high ground.
Because
master of the high ground.
There were rumors for a long time that they were going to do an Obi-Wan movie, and starring Ewan McGregor, and then that kind of died. And then after Disney was like, "All right, well, we're not going to really do all these side story movies anymore," like that went away. So I'm kind of wondering if that's what it was. Like maybe they did have a deal with him, and now that it went away, they're like, "Well, would you do a series on Disney Plus?" You know.
And then Solo came and ruined everything.
Right.
I just went on a tirade about why I like these streaming series. Yeah, what the hell? Why not? Maybe people buying this app. So, sure. He was the best part of the prequels. Let's do it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think that no one's going to disagree with that.
Well, he did argue trade negotiations better than anybody in those prequels.
What were they thinking? In retrospect, what were they thinking? Like, Lucas had these grandiose visions of little kids buying toys about trade.
Yeah.
Loosely defined what the problems were. Very loosely defined. Like,
yeah.
I'm fine with this. Like, okay. I mean, he could have just been standing on Tatooine doing nothing for 20 years. Could he? That'd be cool, right?
Yeah, I kind of think something happened while he was on Tatooine, but
yeah,
no.
That's what I'm saying. Let's do this. Like, I think this is a great thing. This and the Mandalorian thing that Jon Favreau's doing with them, like Boba Fett is the man with no name. I'm good.
See, I've always liked the idea that he wasn't just a hermit living out in the desert. Like, people actively came to Tatooine to kill Luke.
And he was constantly ditching bodies in a.
Yeah, exactly.
I would so watch that show.
Yeah. Well, you're going to get that show. It's called Pennyworth.
No,
God, I will not. I will not in fact watch the show.
I absolutely refuse to watch a Alfred prequel TV series. No. You heard they canceled Krypton, right? And I forgot that wasn't. I was going to include that. Krypton has been canceled, and the Lobo spin-off series has also been officially canceled at Sci-Fi.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. First off, Sci-Fi is historic for canceling stuff just as things get good, and
they get too expensive to make is really what it is.
Yeah, is vis-a-vis Stargate and Stargate Atlantis. But also Krypton wasn't that great.
Yeah.
It was okay. It was just okay.
Just okay.
There's not enough space in this world for just okay anymore.
No,
there isn't. That one, there's so many choices.
Think about what you just said. It used to be that there were only 3. I mean, I was just telling my nephews this, that there used to be only 3 networks, period. 3 channels, and you were lucky if you got something good. And now there are thousands of channels, all these different streaming services, places you can go to get videos for free, and yet we don't have room for suckage now.
Well, and it's so cool. I had this recent conversation with someone who talking about my books, and he's like, "Oh, you do too much of the horror weird guy thing." He's like, that upsets like so many people. Like, you want to invite as many people in as you can, and I try to say, no, that's really not the way business is anymore. Like you said, when it was 3 networks, things had to be vanilla to appeal to as many people as possible. Now you don't have to appeal to 1 billion people. You just need to appeal to like a couple 100,000 who like your stuff, can make money off you. Like, we live in a much better world.
Well,
as far as TV goes.
Well,
yeah,
you disagree with that, John?
I mean, you're never going to have like a MASH again.
We don't need a MASH again. We had a MASH.
I know, but I'm talking about like something that basically the closest I would say that getting to that is something like Game of Thrones that people will come in and talk about over the water cooler, but even so, that's still a subgenre that not a lot of people are into. So maybe in my work, people are talking about.
But that's good, is because like in the days with 3 networks, we never would have gotten Game of Thrones. We would have gotten 5 inferior mashes.
Well, no, but because we got MASH. I mean, but
we did. But we also got Radar for half a season, and Trapper John MD.
Yes, true.
And what was that other one where it was like Vietnam and they were on the beach?
China Beach. Like, that was okay, but it was just trying to ride the coattails of MASH, I think.
I think we just lost anybody in our audience that's under 30.
You lost me on that. I knew the name of the show because my mom used to watch it, but I cannot wax philosophically about China Beach.
I can do that with Magnum PI. There's another one that you wouldn't get today, and that's the thing though. You wouldn't get. I think if I'm remembering correctly, and I'll have to check my numbers on this, but I think that like the most watched shows on TV are the records are still held by stuff that was out 20, 30 years ago.
Of course it was, because there was less options for people to watch. Right. Now you have more options for people to watch, but there's more money now. Like the 2 guys from I can always get their names wrong. The two showrunners, Dennis Soff and I forget. The 2 dudes from Game of Thrones just got $100 million deal at Netflix to develop whatever they want. Like, we're getting stuff that, like, it doesn't have to be just, like, vanilla cop show. And I say this isn't, like, it always had to be episodic. Because, like, when they ran it in reruns, it was going to go out of order. So you couldn't have, like, serialized storytelling. It had to be, well, this week we have this villain of the week, and this week we have this villain of the week. And, nothing really happened. Like, we can tell so much better stories now. And yes, less people are watching individual things, but they're better. Like, McDonald's has far more people that go buy burgers there than your average bar down the street that just makes them right there. But where is it better? Like, especially you're the big anime fan, man. Like, we wouldn't have gotten that kind of stuff, and with the frequency that we get now.
Oh no! That had to blow up though, because basically it was only a Japanese thing back then, and the storylines. We needed a more eclectic audience to be able to grow that genre.
And that's where we are now. Is we have these eclectic audiences, and everybody watches something different, and that's what's great. Is that these providers are giving us such a wide array of programming that's not just ho-hum sitcoms. And I'm not saying about MASH. MASH is one of the greatest television shows ever, but there's a whole lot more Friends than MASH. And yes, I just shit on Friends.
That's okay, because Friends isn't on the level of MASH, even if it is on, not a high level, but high enough.
But that's what Friends was. Friends was like inoffensive, vanilla, simple sitcom television. People love it. I get it. But we don't need another Friends.
They were on a break. Oh.
I've been on a break.
Nah. I'm just saying, like...
You saying we need another All in the Family. That's what
Yeah, I think we could, to be honest with you, I think we could use a show like that today, like different conversation. But I think we could use something a little bit more politically charged in this era to get people talking and laughing at the same time.
At least get their minds off of everything that's going on. So.
Yeah, we could use another Norman Lear. I agree with that.
This is
Sorry,
reminding
Dave,
me
are you keeping up with this? Or?
This is reminding me of over the weekend. I actually saw. Have either of you seen Sextuplets on Netflix?
No. What the hell is that?
I don't even want to care.
It's Marlon Wayne's attempt to do his version of an Eddie Murphy movie. What was it? The Clumps?
Oh
no. That's like going Pluto Nash. No, thank you.
It was actually pretty good. It was shockingly really good. So, basic premise, this guy's married, he's a successful guy, works in advertising, obviously it's Marlon Wayans, and his wife's pregnant, and they keep talking about how he doesn't have any family, because he grew up in a foster system and in the system, and then he was on his own basically since he was 18, blah, blah. So through a couple different things, he ended up getting his adoption records unsealed, and he finds out that he finds where his birth mother lives. He goes to the house and meets his twin brother, but it's him in like a fat suit. And
because Medea is doing so well, I guess. Yeah.
Actually, Medea, don't never say anything bad about Tyler Perry.
I know. I just realized what I was saying, and then I'm thinking back, and like, yeah, everybody seems to they do much.
And they go on this. They find out that there's 6 of them, and they go on this adventure to meet the other siblings. And but it's reminding me of it because the one thing that they bond on right away, the 2 brothers, is they were both big fans of the Rockford Files.
Okay, that's awesome. I like that. That's a cool character thing.
Yeah, and they're driving around and they're like humming the Rockford File theme.
That is pretty cool, actually.
And at the end of the show, one of the brothers, the last one they meet, bought the gold Trans Am from the Rockford Files, and he ends up having to drive it for some reason, but I won't give it too much away. So yeah, it was good. But see, there you go. Like, you could bond over the Rockford Files,
or you could bond over Masters of the Universe.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. That was a segue. Yes.
I tried. I figured I derailed us. I might as well.
Well, we've been derailing each other, so that's fine.
So yeah, so in the what the heck news of the week, Netflix has announced they're going to do a limited series animated anime He-Man Masters of the Universe, which will be a sequel to the original 80s cartoon, and it's being written and produced by Kevin Smith.
It would be a second sequel because there already was a sequel, technically another cartoon that was an extension of the first one. But
was it an extension of the first one? I thought it was a completely separate story.
Yeah, it was a reboot.
It was a reboot. That second one was a reboot. Yes, it was.
Oh, not from what I've heard. So
no, the second series was a reboot, but they're saying this is a continuation of the original '80s cartoon, which I didn't really think it needed one. But hey,
maybe
especially because it was. Go ahead.
Well, maybe that's why he's not showing up on She-Ra.
Well, have you watched that, John?
I haven't seen the current season, but I saw the entire first season. It's okay.
I don't think we're the audience. My wife has watched all 3 seasons. Like, she loves it. Like, she's like a little older than the target demographic, but I mean, she clicks. Like, she really loved the show. But she's also a vast believer that Hordak's whole plan has been to get to Eternia the whole time.
Yes. And they've dropped hints. So
and they're what?
They've dropped hints. Like some of the passwords for getting into those, the Ancients thing is Eternia. So
yeah, episode 1 they dropped the
hints. Which has left people on the internet. I saw a couple of people saying this. Well, what does this mean for She-Ra? Because if they don't have the rights to use He-Man in that show, where is that show going to go?
I don't think we have an answer to that yet. And maybe they will. Maybe they will connect tangentially. Like maybe they'll just ignore the original She-Ra and just, I don't know. Or maybe the two will exist. Or maybe they'll have like another version. Like as long as we know that she's He-Man's sister, that's all I need. That's it, and I'm good.
Yeah. But it would be nice to see them meet up at some point. I mean, that's basically what everybody's waiting for, right? I mean, although you do say that we're not the target audience, right? And at least the show, the writing's okay. I mean, the characterizations are much deeper than the originals.
So that's the whole thing. If the target audience is young girls, they're not going to give a crap if she's He-Man's sister, right?
Correct.
Yes.
And we're getting our He-Man. So everyone should be happy. I mean, Mattel, it's up to Mattel. And you're right, it doesn't matter one way or the other. But I don't know. For us continuity dorks, it'd be nice to have a hint.
And speaking of that, though, is Kevin Smith the right person to helm something like this?
I have no idea.
Well, I don't know. What kind of rating is it going to have? I mean,
right. I mean, you look at the stuff that he writes, and he's always said, too, because people go to him like, oh, you should, write a Batman movie or a Superman movie or whatever. And he always goes, no, because nobody wants Batman to sit around for 2 hours telling dick jokes.
That's him. I think that's his insecurities working through.
Yeah.
Because we have read his comics. He had a really good... His Batman is okay. I think he wrote a really good Green Arrow, and I think Guardian Devil is a good story.
Did you ever read the Green Hornet book he did?
No, I didn't actually. I should have.
That's really good as well.
But I think that we're also dealing with different Kevin Smith, one who almost died. So I think that a lot of those fears that he's had in the past and those insecurities might not mean as much as they did a couple years ago.
Oh, right. He had to bypass or something, didn't he?
Yes. Last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he likes the material. He's not going to have, He-Man and Cringer are not going to be Jay and Silent Bob. As much
oh, wait a minute.
He-Man with a trench coat?
Yeah, they're not going to, that's the joke that's going to go around, I'm sure. But, I mean, he understands the nerd material. I just heard the press conference, he was on his Batman podcast today. I listened to it at the gym, where he talks about it. He loves the source material. I think, and he's just a showrunner. So I think that he won't be writing every episode. I think they're going to do a good job. It seems like they love what they're doing.
So no giant spider fight in the first episode, right?
That was a John Peters move.
I was about to say, that was John Peters. That wasn't him. And if you ever hear him talk about it, it's so funny because he kept pushing the idea on him. He was like, wait, what? He's like, yeah. And he didn't want Superman to fly or have any of his powers. It was like,
if anyone's listening to this that does not know what Dave is talking about, you can find it on YouTube. Just YouTube Kevin Smith, John Peters, and there's a stand-up routine. I think it's on a spoken word tour or something. He just goes off on the story of Superman Lives for a half hour, and it's a fantastic listen.
Yes, and it's one of those, he does these nights with Kevin Smith where he just tell stories for 2 hours and then answers questions from the audience. But yeah, Oh, yeah. It's an amazing story. You need to go look it up.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I'll second that.
Um,
I think it's going to be good. Like it can't be any worse than the original cartoon or the 1987 feature film.
This is true.
No, well, nothing could be that feature film. They just who did that? Was it Everything Wrong With just did the feature film?
That's a long one.
Yeah, and horrible.
Well, I think that here's the thing: is I know it's a bad movie. But I still kind of love it. Because I think I was 7 when that movie came out, so I was like, I was the target demographic, and I always maintained that the original Thor movie was a better executed remake of Masters of the Universe.
Huh. That's actually not a bad way to look at it.
The way, I remember the first time I saw it, I didn't want to say it out loud because I was the only person, I didn't want to nerd myself too much, but that's the first thing I thought of. This is exactly like Masters of the Universe.
Yeah.
Very, very, very similar movie, just done better.
Right.
Less Cortex.
It all comes back to Friends.
I'll be there for you.
Yes.
Boy.
But yeah, I'm excited. I think Kevin Smith will do right by He-Man, and I'll watch it.
And so the last bit of news, which was another total surprise that came out of nowhere, and yet it got totally overshadowed by the Spider-Man news. They are making a Matrix 4, and the cast is all coming back for it.
You mean Matrix 2, right? I heard Matrix 2. Did you hear Matrix 2, JD?
I unfortunately heard Matrix 4 because we cannot ignore the sins of our past.
I can definitely try.
And only one of the Wachowskis? I'm the Pollock, and I should be able to say that. That was coming back to do it. So, I don't know. That made me wonder a little bit. Did the other one not want to do it, because of all the flack they get for 2 and 3? And it's why revisit it? But are they trying to redeem it? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm under the impression that the one is kind of over filmmaking because they really haven't. Man, they hit big. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. They hit big so early that they've been kind of chasing their own ghosts for so long.
Yeah.
So I could see the other one just being I don't want to do this anymore. I don't know, man. It's interesting. I was very skeptical when I read this. My friend Sean Manning is a great comic writer. If you have a chance to look up Sean Manning stuff, he's awesome. He called it he said someone called it the most significant piece of artwork done by someone in the trans community, the transgender community, and it deserves another shot just based on that. And I heard that, and I'm like, well, that's interesting. I never would have thought of it like that. And then he defended it as being the problem with the sequels might have been they were too ahead of their time, and the ideas that they had were limited by what could be done.
That's interesting. I understand the point, and I don't disagree with it, because again, The Matrix, I think, is one of the greatest movies ever made, but does it count because they transitioned afterwards?
I think once you are. I'm not going to, believe me, I'm by no means an expert on this subject, but I think because they...
So what I'm saying is now if she comes out and does it, and The Matrix 4 ends up being just as good as the first one, then that's a very valid statement. But I'm still questioning it because they transitioned to, I don't know.
I don't want to step into this hornet's nest. This is not what I wanted to do with this. But I think that if I would say like this, if you're gay and Rock Hudson was married at one point, but he was always gay.
Right.
I think it's the same thing. I think it's the same thing. I'm more interested in the idea that a lot of, because they're visually speaking, the Wachowskis have fantastic ideas.
Yes.
But I do wonder, because someone, he was comparing it to Spider-Verse, and the way artists today are able to convey visual storytelling is so far ahead of where it was in the early aughts that it could make for a better film. I don't know. I mean, it intrigues me, and I want to see I'll see it. but I'm skeptical.
Good visuals don't mean anything without a good story around them.
I don't know if I can say it doesn't mean anything, because like film itself is a visual medium, and there's a lot of movies that look great that don't have great plots.
JD?
Yes.
Avatar.
I never saw it, so I can't speak to it.
Oh,
okay. JD. Batman v Superman.
Wait, that didn't even look good when you could see.
I agree. That movie's just filth. Like, it's just dirty. That is not like Blade Runner the Blade Runner sequel, The Years I Forget, doesn't make a lot of sense as a narrative, but it's a phenomenal movie to look at.
Yeah.
So I think that's okay. Like, I think it was John that actually advocated, we actually argued about this a couple months ago, where John's like, not every movie needs to follow the standard 3-act structure, and I came up and said everything should. But I think that I'm a little cooler-headed now, and, not all visual art needs to follow. I agree with you on this, John. I thought about it. Not all visual art needs to follow those rules. I mean, like...
Don't agree with John.
But I think he was right on this one. Like,
no!
I was wrong. Because it is visual. If you're writing a script, maybe the script sucks, but if the movie looks awesome, and maybe it doesn't get better the more you watch it, but, if you get a visual experience, like Dune. Is the Dune movie going to be great? I have no idea, but I can tell you it's going to look awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Maybe it's going to, like, for me personally, I'm a writer. I need a story. But I'm not everybody.
Oh, cool.
So I'm excited. What do you think, guys? Yay and nay on the Matrix?
I am cautiously optimistic. I am hoping that she pulls it out and redeems the entire trilogy. I just don't know how. I don't know where you go with the story. Do you go where everyone wanted you to go in the first place with it? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. Where do you go from the end of? Because he did technically, and what's left?
Well, again, though, they hinted at they recreate Neo over and over again. So,
right with this, but now they're basically it's going to be clones.
We don't know that.
No,
could be.
We don't.
I don't know, man. Let's see what. We just covered they were going to actually remake these movies. Like, didn't we just have that conversation?
Yes, they were going to remake it with. Damn it! Who was going to play? I don't remember who they said. Who the cast was, but yes, there was a plan to remake them, and then all of a sudden, now it's like, nope. They've all signed on to do this fourth one. So
is it off the? Is it dead?
I don't know. The article didn't say anything about the remake, but how do you do a remake at the same time you're making a sequel to the original?
Ask DC.
Ask Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I guess this is why anything like when these things get greenlit, it's all still fantasy until people start working on movies.
Yeah.
And even then, it's all still theoretical until we see a trailer. Like, I still don't believe that the New Mutants movie is real. I think they shot a sizzle reel and have just lied to us for the last 2 years.
I saw an article where someone at Disney came out and said that the execs looked at the movie and were not impressed with it.
It must suck. I really want to see it. Like,
I don't think
I
don't think it's going to ever see the light of day.
I don't think so either. That makes it's going to be like, people keep talking about the Snyder Cut. I'm far more interested in how bad this New Mutants movie is. Because it must be just terrible.
Oh, yeah.
I'd see it with, maybe my normal side of alcohol, or maybe a little bit more, considering.
Well, of course.
Well, actually, sometimes it's like, what needs? They need to just bury it for another year or two, and then hand it to the MST3K people.
I don't know. I feel like it's going to end up like the what's his name? That Fantastic Four movie from the 90s.
Corman.
The Corman Fantastic Four movie, where it's going to become this cult thing, and you're only going to be able to find it on bad copy DVD copies at Comic-Cons for a few years until, eventually they decide to release it on some kind of limited release or a streaming thing. But that's going to be like 6, 7, 8 years down the line.
I think you might be right. Like, some Disney exec or junior exec somewhere has a DVD of this movie.
Right. Exactly.
Ryan Reynolds leaked that Deadpool footage that got the movie made.
Exactly. So I think, yep, at your next Comic-Con, everyone, look for New Mutants on DVD. You know the guys that sell them.
On the streets of New York.
Or on the streets of New York, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's a far away from the Matrix 4, but what are you more excited to see, JD? The Matrix 4 or the New Mutants?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, well, Matrix 4. I mean, that could be good.
Oh, okay.
It could be.
We know that New Mutants sucks. And again, I'm the guy that advocated the thing the whole time when they were first talking about it.
Yep.
But I know it's bad at this point. But now I just got to see how bad. Like Matrix 4, it has the potential to be great. It has the potential to be a spectacular failure. I kind of want to see what it becomes. New Mutants, just like I think I'm warming up to the Mystery Science Theater 3000. I think.
Yeah, I mean, nobody else could do it justice except maybe like Nostalgia Critic or Everything Wrong With. But if you want the full treatment, you have to go to Joel Hodgson.
Yes, but other people have to see it before they can. Everything Wrong With can do it, So, we shall see. We'll get to see it. We might all be old by the time we get to see it, but I think we'll get to see it. All right. Well, I think we've beaten all these stories to death enough this week.
Hopefully the one about the New Mutants, that should be beaten to death.
So don't forget.
We don't know that.
So don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, and anywhere podcasts are available. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Superhero Speak on Twitter and Facebook.com/Superhero Speak and at Superhero Speak on Instagram. I forgot to mention that earlier. Not that I've really posted much lately, but it is there, especially when John and I go to New York in October. We'll put lots of pictures up there for you.
Oh, yeah.
So, till then, boys and girls, as always, thanks for listening, and don't let your cape get caught in the door. Have a good week.